Hey there. And, a big thank you for your service as we get ready to dive into MCDP 1 to 3, Chapter 4.
Being faster.
That's right, being faster. And, obviously you're a Marine, and we are very interested in military history and strategy,
Mm-hmm.
but we're civilians, so
Right.
it's kind of a learning journey for us, too.
Right.
But before we get into it, why would a military manual dedicate an entire chapter to speed?
Well,
I mean, it's not like we're all going to be running track stars, you know?
yeah, it's really interesting, right? Because it kind of you think about it at first, you're like, okay, speed.
Right.
Is this like PT?
Exactly.
But no, it really frames speed as a weapon and how it can be as effective as firepower or maneuver.
So how does speed become a weapon?
Well, think of it like this. Imagine a hockey team executing a breakaway or a basketball team on a fast break, you know?
Yeah.
The opposing team is just left scrambling and can't react.
Right.
And that's the kind of disruptive power speed can have.
So are we talking about just creating chaos and then exploiting that?
Yeah, I mean, that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
The chapter highlights some historical examples, and,
Right.
and one of them is World War II on Saipan.
Okay.
General Holland Smith used speed to bypass the Japanese, who were very dug in.
Right.
And by constantly pushing forward and keeping the enemy off balance, he gained a pretty significant tactical advantage.
Yeah. That's a great example and a classic example of, maneuver warfare in action.
Absolutely.
But like you said, this chapter goes beyond just physical movement.
Right.
It talks about efficient use of time, even when you're talking about logistics or transitions between actions.
Well, yeah, every second counts, right, in combat.
Right.
So minimizing wasted time and maximizing your efficiency in all operations, that's really crucial for maintaining speed.
So a unit that can, say, refuel or rearm quickly has a speed advantage,
Oh, yeah,
even if they're not physically moving across the battlefield.
exactly. And that's where tempo comes in.
Yeah.
It's not just about acting fast, but acting at the right time,
Right.
knowing when to push the pace and when to hold back.
Oh, so it's about knowing when to go fast and when to slow down.
Exactly.
Yeah,
You
very
can't just be going fast all the time.
Makes sense.
So, a great example is the quote from Patton.
Which one are we going to hear?
Haste exists when troops are committed without proper reconnaissance.
Okay.
Speed is acquired by making the necessary reconnaissance.
Yeah. I mean, so many times
You got it.
we think that moving fast is always the right answer.
Right.
But sometimes slowing down
Makes you faster.
is actually what makes you faster.
Exactly.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, so he understood that reckless action can actually reduce your overall speed.
Right.
True speed involves calculated action and precise timing. It's about efficiency and effectiveness, not just pure velocity.
I really like how the chapter talks about speed being relative.
Oh, yeah.
Because, they use the example of the Falklands War,
Yeah,
where the British forces, they were moving fast at all because of the terrain.
right.
But they were still faster than the Argentinians who were just sitting there. So, it's not always about how fast you are compared to like a race car or something.
Right.
It's about how fast you are compared to the enemy.
It's about being faster than the enemy. Yeah.
And that makes me think about the next point,
Okay.
which is maintaining speed over time.
Yes.
And so, you can have these bursts of speed, but it's about sustaining that momentum.
Right. It's about sustaining it over time. Logistics and the effective use of combined arms are really critical here.
Right.
A force that can replenish supplies and keep their equipment running is going to have a major advantage over someone who can only operate,
Right.
in short bursts.
For short periods of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they even talk about how you can use combined arms
Yes.
to keep the pressure on the enemy,
Exactly.
even when a specific unit needs to pause.
Mm-hmm.
So if the infantry is resupplying,
Right.
you can use air power or artillery
They pin down.
to keep the enemy engaged
Yeah.
and prevent them from taking advantage
Yep.
of that pause.
Yeah.
I thought the section on speed and transitions was fascinating.
Oh, yeah.
Where they talk about 18th century armies drilling
It's
to
amazing.
change between column and line formations
Yeah.
so that they're not vulnerable during that transition.
Right. And how those historical examples connect to modern battle drills and immediate action drills.
It's really amazing how it's still relevant today.
Yeah, the ability to transition smoothly and quickly between different actions or formations is still a major advantage on the battlefield.
And they even use the example of the F-86 Sabre in the Korean War,
Oh, yeah, great example.
which, maybe wasn't as powerful as the MiG-15,
Right.
but it could transition between maneuvers more quickly and had better pilot visibility.
Yeah, so the F-86 had, tactical advantages
Right.
related to speed and transitions that allowed it to outperform its opponent.
Yeah, and it really shows how speed isn't always about, raw power or velocity,
Right.
but it's also about agility and responsiveness.
Absolutely.
So speaking of agility and responsiveness, yeah, this leads right into, one of the most interesting parts of the chapter.
John Boyd,
Yeah, the OODA loop.
the OD loop.
So for our listener who might not be familiar,
Right.
can you give us a quick overview of the OODA loop?
Yeah, so Boyd's theory is all about understanding conflict as a series of time competitive cycles.
Okay.
Observation, orientation, decision, and action.
OODA.
OD loop, that's it.
Got it.
So you observe the situation, you orient yourself within it, you make a decision, and then you take action.
And presumably the enemy is doing all this at the same time.
They are doing it at the same time. That's why it's a loop.
Right. But the key is to do it faster than the enemy.
You got to be fast.
So that you can basically dictate the pace of the conflict.
Exactly. You force the enemy to constantly react to your actions.
It's like you're getting inside their decision-making process.
Right.
And disrupting them.
Yeah, and it brings in the mental aspect of warfare. It's not just about physical speed, but mental agility, situational awareness, and the ability to make decisions quickly and decisively.
So you've got to be able to think fast.
Think fast, act fast.
And act fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so it's really fascinating how they bring in all these different aspects of speed.
Yeah.
So we've established that speed is crucial in modern warfare.
Absolutely.
But how do we actually become faster?
Yeah.
What are the practical steps?
Well, one of the first things they stress is simplicity.
Okay.
So streamlined plans, clear communication, and a lean command structure all contribute to faster action.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Complexity often leads to delays and confusion.
The more moving pieces you have.
The more that can go wrong.
Exactly. That can go wrong.
And then they move on to decentralization.
Okay.
Which is where mission tactics and commander's intent come into play.
This is one that I'm trying to really wrap my head around.
Okay.
How does decentralization contribute to speed?
So the concept is this. Instead of micromanaging every detail, commanders empower subordinates by giving them clear missions and explaining the intent behind those missions.
Okay.
This allows the people on the ground, the ones closest to the action, to make decisions and adapt to changing circumstances without needing to constantly check in with higher headquarters.
So instead of everything getting bottlenecked at the top, you empower the people who are actually there to make the decisions.
Exactly.
Because they're seeing it in real time.
They're the ones in the fight.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense.
And the chapter points out how crucial this kind of decentralized command structure is for achieving and maintaining speed in a rapidly changing battlefield environment.
Now, the next one they talk about is experience.
Yes. Experience breeds familiarity.
Right.
Which breeds speed. Think about it. Veteran units are much faster than green units.
Well, yeah, because they've seen it all before.
They've seen it. They've done it.
Right.
They've developed shared understanding and can rely on implicit communication, which speeds up their decision-making process.
So even if they haven't faced the exact same situation, they can draw on all their previous experiences.
Yeah, they have that repertoire that makes them more agile and responsive.
That's a good way to put it.
It's all about that repertoire.
And then they talk about lateral communication.
Yes.
Which kind of ties back into decentralization.
It does.
So what do they mean by lateral communication?
Instead of all communication flowing up and down the chain of command, lateral communication allows leaders at the same level to communicate directly.
So like two company commanders can talk to each other.
Exactly.
Without having to go through a battalion.
Exactly. It's about cutting out unnecessary steps in the communication process.
So that things happen faster?
Things happen faster, exactly. Streamlining the process for maximum efficiency.
And then the next one they talk about is positioning the commander at the point of friction.
Oh, yeah.
So what's that all about?
So it's about putting the commander where they can most effectively influence the action.
Okay.
Whether that's the front lines, critical logistical hub, or somewhere else entirely. It's about being where you can have the most impact.
Like chesty puller?
Chesty puller, exactly.
Leading from the front.
Leading from the front. He understood that being close to the action allowed him to assess the situation firsthand.
Right.
Make quick decisions and inspire his troops.
Yeah, it definitely makes a statement to your Marines.
Absolutely.
When they see their commander right there with them.
Absolutely, it does.
And then finally,
the last one.
They talk about physical and mental fitness.
Of course.
You got to be fit.
I mean, this one seems pretty straightforward.
Yeah, you got to be able to move.
If you're physically fit,
move and think.
You can move faster.
Yes.
You can maintain that speed longer.
Absolutely.
Mental fitness helps you stay focused.
Yes.
Make clear decisions under pressure.
Right.
But the chapter dives a bit deeper than that.
It does, talking about the importance of endurance.
Yes. A force that can maintain its tempo over an extended period
Okay.
will wear down their opponent, even if their opponent has, moments of greater speed.
So like the tortoise and the hare.
Yeah, kind of like that. Think of it more like a well-conditioned athlete who can outlast their opponent by maintaining a consistent pace,
Okay.
even if their opponent has bursts of greater speed.
So it's not just about being fast.
That's about staying fast.
It's about staying fast.
Yeah,
That requires both physical and mental resilience.
exactly.
And so it's impressive how they tie all these different
A
aspects
lot of different aspects.
of speed together.
It all comes together.
And it makes me wonder, with all this talk about speed and tempo.
Yeah, how has technology changed the nature of speed in modern warfare?
Yeah. How has it
That's a good question.
changed things?
Yeah,
Yeah, it really does make you think, because on one hand, technology has made everything faster.
right.
Faster vehicles, faster communication, faster weapons.
Yeah.
But it's also added all these layers of complexity.
Absolutely. It has, you take cyber warfare, for example.
Okay.
Battles now take place in the digital realm as much as the physical.
Right.
And the speed of decision-making in that domain is just mind-boggling.
It's like this whole other dimension of speed
Yeah,
that's emerged. And it's not just about processing power either.
right.
It's also about human cognition.
Absolutely.
Like, how fast can analysts interpret data and identify threats and make decisions?
It's still a human element that's
Yeah.
crucial to all this.
And then you've got things like AI and autonomous systems coming into play.
Yeah.
And those things can operate at speeds that we can't even comprehend.
They can.
So it's like technology is both a blessing and a curse when it comes to
It
speed.
is.
It gives us the tools to move faster and do things faster,
Right.
but it also raises the bar for what fast actually means.
What does fast even mean anymore, right?
Yeah, I mean, because
Oh.
what was fast 50 years ago
Totally different.
is slow now.
Totally different. Yeah,
So how do we as Marines stay ahead of the curve?
that's the question.
How do we make sure that we're always operating at that, speed of relevance?
Yeah, it really comes back to these core principles that
Uh,
we've been talking about.
The simplicity, the decentralization.
Simplicity, decentralization, experience, lateral communication fitness.
Yeah.
These are timeless principles that remain essential for achieving and maintaining speed in warfare,
Regardless of the technology.
regardless.
But we also need to be adaptable, right?
Of course we do.
We have to embrace new technologies.
Right.
Find ways to weave them into our tactics and strategies.
Right. We can't be stuck in the old ways of thinking.
Right.
We have to constantly learn and experiment and push the boundaries.
So it's almost like we need to build a culture of speed.
I love that. A culture of speed.
A culture where we're always looking for ways to be faster, to be more efficient,
Always looking to improve our tempo and streamline our processes.
and outpace the enemy.
And it needs to be at every level, from the individual Marine all the way up to the top.
It's a powerful idea,
It is.
this culture of speed.
Yeah, culture of speed.
I like that.
Something to aspire to, for sure.
Yeah, especially as we look at future conflicts,
Absolutely.
where the pace of operations is just going to keep accelerating,
It is.
and the stakes are only going to get higher.
only going to get higher. Yep.
We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
We have.
We've talked about speed as a weapon, the importance of tempo,
Right.
the ODL loop,
Yeah.
all these elements that contribute to becoming faster,
Mm-hmm.
and even how these principles apply to both units and individuals.
And individuals, yeah.
It's important to remember, though, that this is just one chapter
It is.
in a much larger doctrine.
Yes.
And MCDP 1.3 covers a lot of different topics
He does.
related to Marine Corps tactics.
Yeah.
And it's all interconnected.
Absolutely.
But this chapter on speed, I think it really sets the stage.
It does.
It's foundational.
If you understand the importance of speed and internalize these principles,
Then you can really apply the rest of the doctrine.
you got it.
So what are some key takeaways
Okay.
that you want our listener to walk away with from this deep dive?
I want them to grasp that speed is more than just moving fast.
Okay.
It's a mindset, it's a tactical principle, and it's crucial for success in modern warfare.
It's about acting faster than the enemy,
Yes.
but it's also about acting smarter and more efficiently,
More efficiently. Uh-huh.
and with a sense of purpose.
Yeah, you got to have that purpose behind it.
And, becoming faster,
Yes.
this is an ongoing process. It's a
It's-
journey,
It's a journey, not a destination.
not a destination.
That requires constant effort training and a willingness to learn and adapt.
Yeah, and that's something that every Marine can contribute to.
Every Marine can contribute.
As we've been talking,
Yeah.
something's been on my mind. The chapter focuses mainly on becoming faster as a unit. But how can an individual Marine apply these principles
That's a great question.
to their own personal professional development?
Yeah, I think that's something that every Marine should be thinking about because a unit's speed and effectiveness
Right.
ultimately reflects the speed and effectiveness of the individuals within it.
So where does a Marine even begin with this journey?
I think it starts with mindset.
Okay.
Cultivating that sense of urgency, that bias for action that the chapter talks about. Always be on the lookout for ways to improve your own efficiency, to streamline your processes, and maximize your time.
So even something as simple as, organizing your gear
Absolutely.
or practicing weapons handling drills can contribute
Yeah, all those little things add up.
to that individual speed
They do.
and effectiveness.
It's about eliminating wasted motion,
Yeah.
developing good habits, and constantly striving for mastery.
And then, of course, there's the physical and mental fitness aspect.
Yes, can't forget about that.
Which we've talked about a lot.
Right, and this is really critical on an individual level. A Marine who is physically fit is going to be able to move faster, react quicker, and endure the challenges of combat much more effectively.
And I would imagine that mental fitness is just as important.
Oh, absolutely. The ability to stay calm under pressure, to make clear decisions, and maintain focus in chaotic environments is essential.
So, stress management techniques, mindfulness,
All that stuff.
even just getting enough sleep
Yes, sleep is important.
can have a real impact
Well, it does.
on a Marine's ability to operate.
Taking care of your mental well-being is really paramount.
And then there's the professional development side of things, too.
Yes,
Always learning, expanding your knowledge base,
absolutely.
seeking out new challenges
That makes you more well-rounded and adaptable.
in a faster, more effective Marine.
Exactly. It all ties together.
It really does.
Whether you're a rifleman, a tanker, a logistician, a pilot, there are always ways to enhance your individual speed and effectiveness.
And like we've been saying all along, those individual improvements ultimately contribute to the Marine Corps
As a whole.
as a whole. This has been a really insightful deep dive.
It has
We've covered a lot of ground.
a lot of ground.
From, the tactical principles of speed to the OD loop
Right.
and how those apply to both units and individuals.
Absolutely.
And I really hope that our listener found this valuable.
Me too. It's been a pleasure talking about this.
It has. And, we always appreciate the opportunity to engage with fellow Marines and share our insights.
Absolutely.
And we really encourage you to keep exploring these concepts.
Yes, keep learning.
Talk about them with your peers and apply them to your own training and operations.
And remember, anything that makes you faster is beneficial, even if it's not in the manual yet.
That's right.
Innovation, adaptation, and a relentless pursuit of excellence. That's what's going to keep the Marine Corps
At the forefront
at the forefront. Exactly.
of modern warfare.
You got it.
So as you return to your duties, we want to leave you with this final thought. How can you leverage the power of speed to become a more effective Marine and contribute to the success of your unit and the Corps?
We look forward to hearing your insights. Until next time, Semper Fi, Semper Fi.